So yeah, today we're going to be going over tonal patterns, and as usual, then there is a free Skool group which you can check out. It's in my bio. It's called Mega Community Builders, and then there's a paid Skool group, which is like a couple $100 USD. I think it's $497, and that's where you can learn pretty much how I overcome objections, live recording calls, etc. Multiple deals were closed this week, so I actually need to update and upload more deals there. But yeah, a lot of cool things to go over. Okay, so let's get into it. When it comes to sales, okay, a lot of people focus on just what to say and not how they sound. So we're going to be going over different ways of sounding that unconsciously influence people to make decisions, because majority of communication, ironically, is actually non-verbal. It's physiological, it's emotive, right? And I'm going to show you guys how to access emotions and almost like send emotions from you to other people. So one of the first concepts I want to go over, and I'm not going to write it because the whiteboard is not going to show very clearly, it's called going first. So in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is basically a way of communicating by using physiology, so your body, values, so the way people perceive things. For example, I value Valentine's Day. I don't really that much, but as an example, say I value Valentine's Day. In another context, in another country, they're going to think no one cares about Valentine's Day, right? So that's a value. So NLP is using physiology, values, and then language to be able to tie them together to get people to take an action, okay? So an example of NLP is, I could say it's really, really hot today, but I could instead say, it was like an ice cube was melting on my skin, because we synonymize ice with very cold and skin with very hot. Therefore, it starts to melt, right? NLP. I love it. I learned a lot of it when I was younger. Go for your life. Now, how is this related to selling? What's up, Mohi? What's up, Farai? I hope you guys are well. Happy Friday. So one of the tones that you want to be using, especially when you're like on a demo or like a closing call, is what we call the DJFM voice. So Chris Voss, who was, I think, a CIA negotiator, I learned about that first from his book, which is Never Split the Difference. And it's a really good book. I recommend it if you haven't read it before. Never Split the Difference, read that book. And yeah, you want to use the DJFM voice. So what does that sound like? So say you're on a demo and they just come on in 1 minute and it's like 9 a.m. in the morning. What they're expecting when they're talking to salespeople is someone that's going to be very like, hi, how are you? It's overly energetic. And there's nothing wrong with having high energy, but it depends how you want to be perceived. So there's that normal salesperson, which is high hyper energy, and then there's the, so say your name is James. James comes up with, hi, Dami. Hey, James, how are you? Really good. Fantastic. And how are you? The kids good? Amazing, amazing. And how's work? Work's going all right? Like, you want to kind of sound like you're tired of talking, but like you're like a dad that's just had like 5 beers and it's like Friday night and his favorite team just lost. That's the kind of vibe you want to have when you have a DJFM voice. And it's really, really powerful because it's disarming. And part of influence is making sure that you don't sound like you're getting people like this, like on their toes, like this, all tight. You want to keep people relaxed and in motion. And this goes the same for dating, by the way, right? Like when I was in my majorly single era, like I remember when I found out about like this different sales stuff in NLP, I was using it like every weekend for like a period of time because it was exciting, it was new to me, right? So you want to have it, yeah, how are you? Amazing. Fantastic. Really? Oh, wow, okay. Okay, so what brings you to this call? I just want to see if I can help you. Okay. Like it's borderline seductive, but really you're just a DJ. So imagine if you had the mic and you were like at a jazz bar, okay, and this is the microphone, and you're playing Smooth Operator by Sade Adu, and he's just like, single ladies in the building tonight. That's the DJFM voice. And if you lead with the DJFM voice, you're going to keep people really relaxed. But Albin said, is NLP scientifically supported? I'd say it's what we call a pseudoscience. So when I say pseudo, it's P-S-E-U-D-O. So it's somewhat proven, somewhat not. It's kind of one of those theoretical things. But in my personal life, I found a lot of power in NLP. What's up, 1D? What's up, OJ? So NLP is very important, especially if you guys are trying to improve communication. People like Tony Robbins love NLP. But anyway, so the DJFM voice, that's the first tonal pattern you want to master. And you want to use that pretty much as like your baseline when talking to prospects in the first couple minutes of the call. Now, the second tonal pattern, which is really powerful, is what we call like the reasonable man tone. Okay, Jordan Belfort talks about this, Wolf of Wall Street, and I took his course when I was like 20 or 19 years old. Phenomenal course. Anyway, reasonable man is kind of like, you want to sound, so when you're starting with the DJFM voice, a reasonable man is like, hey, how are you? I mean, I think this would make sense, right? Like you want to kind of have like the, you want to say, if say you want to disagree with someone, say they're like, you know what, Maximus purple is better than the green, unless you're something that's less unique. Let's just say purple, Coca-Cola is better than Pepsi. A reasonable man, a regular person when they're arguing is like, Pepsi's better than Coke, like, because Pepsi's less sugar and Coke is overhyped and Coke is all this caffeine. But it's like, I'm getting attacked right now. Like, why are you attacking me? But a reasonable man's like, yeah, you know, it's like, they kind of like stretch out words. Like, yeah, you're probably right, you know, Pepsi's pretty good. But let me tell you something about Coke. Coke is, like, you want to sound, you can disagree without sounding like you disagree. And a verbal pattern is one where you agree and then you share a worldview that's mutual and then use that worldview to shift. But that's, again, the sales philosophy that we've discussed in prior calls. But just listen to the tonal here. Okay, so he says he hates Coke, yada, yada, yada. You know what? Pepsi's pretty good. I can't complain with you. And yeah, you're right. I think Coke is, it has its sacrifice. But let me tell you something about Coke. You know, I had Coke and Pepsi one time when I was at the beach. And let me tell you, I was so dehydrated. And I drank the Coke and I drank the Pepsi. And by the time I drank the full bottle of Coke, my friend, let me tell you, I was dancing on the beach. I was feeling good. The sun was hitting me different. So you know what, you know, in an alternate universe, you might be right. You know, perhaps Pepsi, you know, is the better option. But for me personally, I like Coke. You see how like the tone was so like nonchalant. It's what we call the reasonable man tone. You want to always have that tone when you're disagreeing. So when you're opening up a call, in the DJFM voice, hey Susie, how are you today? Fantastic. Yeah? Really good. What brings you to this call? Let me see if I can help you. Amazing. Okay. Great. Really? Yeah. It needs to come from here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it needs to come across, okay? So, and then when you're disagreeing with them, yeah, you know what's easy? I think you're right. Because you've started at such a low level of energy, if you now go up, their like attention is peaking. Yeah. You know what, Susie, you're right. It's funny that you mentioned that. You know, I was thinking about it. And other people are more expensive than us. And I was like, you know, money's a thing. But let me tell you something, Susie. When I was talking to another provider, they actually said that the quality wasn't that good. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the price, but you know, that's why I think it's important that you pay for the right thing. Otherwise, you're gonna, you know, pay for something cheap, but then you're really paying 3 times because we didn't get right down the first time. You know, like reasonable man. Even though I just disagreed the F out of with Susie. Okay.